even in a down market, you can make a lot of money in real estate. Even though it's not appreciating, you still have cash flow. You're still paying down your principal. You still have these different things that you still have tax deductions. And so there's still a lot of benefits to owning real estate, even if it's going down in value. But if you buy the wrong property and you don't have cash flows, now you're losing money every month, right? That's what I did the first time around. I bought a house. Back then I was a speculator. I wasn't an investor. I didn't know what I didn't know. And so I'm 25 years old. I'm buying a house with a $2,500 a month mortgage, 6.5% interest rate back then. And, I had a second mortgage, or that was an 8.5% interest rate. So I'm paying $2,500 a month. It rents for $1,700. And back then I'm like, it doesn't matter. They're going up $2,000 a month. Well, then the market turned. You get in some trouble real quick. You can see how I got, made some bad decisions. But so those two rules is what I look at for everything now. It's what we really focus on with all of our investors. We've helped over 7,000 investors, me and my partner, over the last 10 years invest in real estate, or over 7,000 properties, I should say. And the two rules that we stand by is number one is, does this have the right cash flows? And number two is, even if the market were to turn, would I be glad I own this property? And if you can answer those two questions, you're buying a good property.
How would you define the right cash flow?
Every market's different. Every type of asset is a little bit different. But essentially, based on the year built, the type of renter you're getting, the type of rents you're getting, is there enough money coming in percentage-wise every month that would cover you if you had to go a couple months, if it were to go vacant, or if you did have repairs? And you can kind of tell vacancy and repairs based on the micro and macroeconomics of that particular property. Is it newer? Is it in a, is it in a red or a blue state? Is it in a place that's appreciating right now? Are people moving to that area or away? What does the macro job market look like? Like, what kind of people are moving in and out? So you look at all that, and you can really see, okay, this one's going to be better off in a down market than these cities over here maybe. And so based on that, we determine how much we need to cash flow. But a good rule of thumb that I like to say is for every $1,000 that you're collecting in rent, you want to have at least $100, if not $200 coming in over that in cash flow as a minimum. That's like a minimum standard.
You said something earlier that was kind of a key. You were a speculator, not an investor.
Yeah.
Can you define that?
Yeah, big difference.
Yeah.
I mean, investors, you're doing your homework. You know exactly what the rents are. You know exactly what your cash on cash return is. You know exactly how much it's going to rent for. You run the numbers. You have a 10-year pro forma. You know what's going to happen 2 years from now, 5 years from now, based on very conservative numbers. And then you make a decision, okay, what is my worst case scenario? Can I live with this worst case scenario? If I can, great. Whereas a speculator, you're like, market went up 25% last year. If it even does half that this year, we'll be in good shape. So you buy it hoping it does well, right? You don't care if it cash flows because, well, if I buy a $250,000 house that's going up 10%, that's $25,000. So even if I lose $8,000 in rents this year, I'm still making $17,000. That's kind of the mindset more of a speculator, right? And you're just kind of hoping that things stay well. You're kind of hoping that rents will keep going up and that kind of stuff.
I think that last 2 minutes was gold.
Yeah, lessons learned the hard way.
Yeah. When you first started, were you just accumulating rental properties? Also,
yeah,
single-family homes? What were you?
Yeah, when I first started out, so I remember I bought my first property when I moved away to college. I knew I had to live somewhere, so I bought my first condo when I was 21. My mom co-signed for me, and my roommates paid my mortgage. It was great. Even when the market turned, I ended up walking away from that one, made $20,000-$30,000 by the time I sold it, lived for free while I went to college. It was a perfect investment. What happened after that was my next few properties, I joined a brokerage. It was actually when I got my license. I was 24 years old. And my broker was just like, go buy this. You don't even have to put any money down. Go buy this. And everyone in the office was very aggressive. There were a lot of speculators. Everybody was young, and that everyone had FOMO. If one guy did it, the whole office wanted to do it. And it was just a very Wild West kind of feel. And so I kind of got sucked in. I didn't know any different. I was 24 years old, and these guys all seemed to be having a lot more money than I did, and all driving nice cars. And so I just started doing what they were doing, and it was, buy this house with nothing down, buy this house with nothing down. And next thing you know, at one point I had 13 homes, and I was probably going to be in big trouble on over half of them if the market turned. I had a mentor that I had, met through real estate that had taught me, and he said, this was in November of 2006, and he said, hey, this whole market's going to turn. California's already happening. You need to sell all those. And so thankfully I was able to get rid of all but 2 of them. I was living in one, and a buddy was living in the other one. And even just those 2, I ended up losing over $150,000 by the time I sold those 2. And so at 25, 26, you know, it's devastating. I mean, I got stuck with these debts, and I was just like, oh. But thankfully, I was able to get them paid off, and like I said, get back to zero by the time I was about 30, 31.
How'd you turn it around?
Hard work, honestly. Yeah, I mean, thankfully, I was making a lot of money selling as an agent. You know, my first full year as a real estate agent, I sold 60 homes. My second year, I sold 98 homes. I was one of the 2 finalists for Salesperson of the Year on the Salt Lake Board of Realtors my second year as a realtor. And so I hired coaches. I learned what to do. And, you know, real estate's simple. It's kind of like in life. It's anything. It's not that it's easy, but it is simple. You find out what to say, and then you say it all day long. Like, that's pretty much it. Like, as long as you know what to do and then do it all day, you're going to have success. And so the key is most people don't spend enough time learning what to do or what to say, the skills, and then they don't have the work ethic to put that together. And the benefit that I had is I had all this debt, and so I didn't have any choice. I was like, nobody's ever gonna wanna be with me. I have all this crazy debt. I'm upside down. And all my friends that did nothing, the one that worked at the hat store at the mall, he was doing fine. He didn't care. You know, he's making $11 an hour and nothing ever changed. I'm over here with more debt than I could ever imagine, just because I was taking all these risks. And, you know, looking back, it was so hard to get out of that. But at the same time, I'm so grateful because it really helped build my work ethic. It's when I got all my client base. It's how I really built myself up as the real estate expert that I consider myself today. And I learned all those lessons firsthand. I learned so many lessons that I now get to protect my investors from. I get to protect people from making those same mistakes.